So let's go ahead and get started. Today we have Nichelle and Tracy from Indiana University. Nichelle works in admissions, and I'll let you introduce yourself. And Tracy in financial aid and scholarships, and they have been gracious enough to do a little bit of a quick tips and advice mini workshop, I may call it, for our students and families. And we definitely appreciate you both for that. And I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Awesome. Well, I'll go first since ladies first. My name is Nichelle Whitney. I'm a senior assistant director in the Office of Admission, and my job is to recruit students from Tennessee. So if you're watching this, I'm super excited that you're going to get this information, and I welcome you to connect with me. My contact information is on our website at admissions.indiana.edu. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Leslie.
So as Leslie mentioned, my name is Tracy Luther, and I'm the scholarship specialist for the Office of Scholarships. So my work is a little bit more broad and connecting with all students about any scholarship questions they might have, getting them connected to financial aid resources, and really providing the most information that we can to focus on that very important component of financing your education at IU. My contact information and our office's contact information is also on our website, so feel free to send an email with any questions that you may have, or give us a call and I'll be happy to help you from there.
All right, thank you guys. And let's first get started with you, Tracy. We'll kick it to you for the first part of this chat. And if you wouldn't mind, kind of give your tips and advice and what you feel students and families should focus on as they enter this financial aid and scholarships process, and I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to flip the script a little bit from how I normally present scholarship information, at least from the university, because now more than ever, we have found that external resources have become a major component in identifying the scholarships and aid that can be available to students, no matter the time that they're looking at scholarships and no matter where they plan to go in the future. So on our website, we have a number of external scholarship databases, search engines, and individual resources compiled to connect you with resources beyond what you may find at your own university. So whether you're going to IU or you may be going somewhere else, this will provide support for wherever you may go. These will go with you no matter what your choice is. With that, one of the most important and crucial parts of your scholarship search and making sure you're maximizing the opportunities you can is being aware of the deadlines for a lot of your scholarships. So time is of the essence. That is your main point of support and getting what you need to ahead of any bills or being aware of what your cost of attendance might be in the end. So for the university, for IU, our main deadline to receive the most scholarship consideration is November 1st. We have to have all admissions application materials in. This year, of course, or this coming year will be a little bit different as we are moving to test optional. So students will be able to submit their application, their writing supplements, transcripts and all that, and they'll have the option to submit SAT or ACT scores if they would like to have that as a point of consideration. Now we'll be changing that for admissions, but that is something to think about as you are trying to provide the most information about yourself for scholarship consideration. The more things we have, the more we get to know you and the more we can connect you to the right resources through the university and beyond that. So be aware of your deadlines. After that is to really think creatively about scholarships. So if you're looking at external resources, they may be looking at things beyond just your academic experience. I think a lot of people hear the word scholarship or hear the word scholar and think that they have to be the best student ever. They have to have the best GPA, the best test scores, the best commendations, all of that, but that's not necessarily the case when you're looking at your entire experience academically, whether that's in high school or beyond once you're in college. People will love to learn more about your extracurriculars, the things that you're involved with, whether that's sports, clubs, anything that you might have some leadership in. Those are great ways not only to build your resume, but to also build on the opportunities that you have available to you. For external resources, they may even go beyond that as well. You might find some that are smaller scholarships for people who are over 6 feet tall, or for people who have blue eyes. They're kind of weird odds and ends opportunities, but that is something that we've found out there and that we've connected with in the past. So really think about your whole experience as a person, you know, the things you've been through, the things you've been involved with, what your academic experiences look like, and really use that as a strong tool to identify the best resources available to you. You are not limited just by your academic experience, and that can go the same for our university as well. We do have academic scholarships connected to your specific program. You might find that with other schools too, that they'll have biology scholarships or scholarships for business majors or anything of that sort. But you'll really be looking at your full experience just beyond, you know, what you know about yourself and what you might think is related to being a scholar. The last point that I want to address is to apply to as many things as you can. It's great to apply to a couple scholarships and to hope that you'll be getting a couple $1,000s on a really great opportunity, but you're not always guaranteed that in some ways, and you don't always want to put your eggs in one basket. So with that time component and being aware of how much time you have available to you, you really want to structure that and fit the application process for scholarships into your schedule. We often define it as sort of a part-time job in a way. I mean, you're spending a couple hours researching scholarship opportunities, potentially preparing writing materials and completing an application, and the outcome of that could be a few $1,000s. I mean, when will you ever work for 2 to 3 hours in a day and then receive thousands of dollars upon your return for that? I'm not in that place. I hope to be someday, but that's really how you have to think about that. It's not always just as easy as submitting your name, school, transcript, and then hoping something will come out of that. So you really need to dedicate as much time as you can to preparing everything that you might need to set yourself up for success and put your best foot forward in applying for scholarships. So really consider, as you're compiling all the resources that you might want to apply to, what might overlap, so you can maximize the time that you have for that process. Those are my 3 main tips that I could recommend. If any of you have questions in the future, again, more than welcome to email us. Leslie, if you have any questions for me beyond this, I'd be happy to answer them on the phone, but I'll hand it off to you. Yeah,
thank you so much for that, Tracy. And one thing that our families, we've already shared with them, is that website for that IU has for external scholarships. So the ones that haven't checked that out after this, hopefully they'll check it out, because it's definitely the most extensive website I've ever seen for external scholarships. So that you guys do a fantastic job with that. And one question I would have for you, Tracy, is in your role or in your office, do you see many families, students or parents or guardians reaching out to you guys before they're actually students on campus to ask questions?
Yeah, I think, so the way that kind of we talk about our office is really the first step in going into scholarships or financial aid or anything. We want to be sort of the first place people talk to when they're getting this information. So we often find people will come to us first with sort of almost any question. I mean, it could be scholarships, could be financial aid. We've even gotten housing questions recently. So we do our best to really connect people to the right resources. And we encourage people, if anything, to come to us first if they have anything for scholarships, and then and then they can reach out to anybody else from there. We have had a couple of students who work within our own office who we try to connect with different families in case they have any specific questions on student experiences or what they've seen in going through the scholarship process. So we really try to provide the most information that we can, both from our professional recommendations and then from our own personal student experiences as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. And now we'll shift to Nichelle, and something you mentioned, Tracy, kind of made me think of what I heard about Nichelle's experience, so I won't take away your thunder, but when you said treat it like a part-time job, it kind of reminded me of what maybe some of what Nichelle's about to share. So would you, Nichelle, share your personal experience and advice for students and families as well? Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll start with my advice, and then to affirm that advice, I'll share my own personal experience. So I have a few things. Tracy really highlighted the key important things. So I'm just going to compliment essentially what Tracy said about the importance of deadlines. So if you're interested in Indiana University, that November 1st deadline is super important for maximum scholarship consideration. And what you should know is that most schools have a priority deadline for scholarships. So you want to do everything that you absolutely can to meet that deadline. Well, ours is November 1st. Essentially three-quarters of the way through the fall semester. So how do you prepare for that? Well, one thing I did in high school was I had spreadsheets. I knew exactly what scholarship was coming up. I knew the date. I knew how much money I was going to get from it. I knew the requirement, whether it was just an essay or just an application. I had a link to it. I kept it all in the spreadsheet, so I could just click through things as I wanted. So when I was applying, we didn't have necessarily Instagram, but Twitter and Facebook were our go-to social media. Before I jumped on there, made a tweet or followed or checked on my Facebook friends, I submitted a scholarship application, which brings me to my next point. I recommend that students apply for about 5 to 7 scholarships per month, starting in August of their senior year and not concluding until July before they start college. Okay, so that's 11 months. I just said 5 to 7, so people are probably like 55 to 77 scholarship essays. This woman is crazy. Yes, I am, and I still recommend it because the more you apply for, the more you'll likely get. The other thing I tell students is you don't necessarily have to only apply for those big buck scholarships. So I pieced together a number of $500 scholarships, $1,000 scholarships, $250 scholarships. And by the time I looked up, I had a pretty nice financial aid package. It was phenomenal, okay? And not all of my stuff was merit-based. I was not the best test taker. My SAT score, thank goodness there was an ACT option when I was applying, because my SAT score would not have earned me scholarships, it would not have earned me admission. But my ACT scores were fairly decent, and I was also very involved. And like Tracy said, get creative, think outside the box. So I was applying for scholarships from my local YMCA, the golf club, the Rotary Club, Kiwanis, Girl Scouts. I was looking for any scholarship that said anything about being a woman in STEM, but more specifically, a Black woman in STEM. I Googled that stuff every day and applied for every scholarship that appeared to be available. So you want to get you a spreadsheet, all of that stuff in your spreadsheet, just keep it going. It's like a rolling tab, and reward yourself. When you get through 5 scholarships, treat yourself to something. I would color code mine so I could see like, well, I got a lot of green on here. Hopefully that converts to money, right? That was kind of, I made scholarship applications fun. The other thing that I did, I wrote one amazing essay. I started working on it over the summer. I started looking at like, okay, what are some scholarships asking for so I can know what to put into a scholarship essay? I wrote a phenomenal essay. And when I say phenomenal, it was only phenomenal because I had my English teachers review it. I had my guidance counselors review it. And I would ask them, does this capture who I am as a student? sometimes they would say, you don't remember when you were part of student council, you don't remember that you competed in track and field, don't forget that you're the only girl of 5 brothers, like there may be scholarships for that, like talk about your leadership in your family. They really helped me think creatively about how to write a strong scholarship essay. And then I use that same essay for almost every scholarship I applied to. So it took a lot of the load off and a lot of the pressure off rewriting scholarship essays. It was more so just fill out the application portion, which they're all asking the same thing. What's your name? What's your GPA? What's your address? What high school do you go to? Did you compete in extracurriculars? They ask those same basic questions, and then many of them have an essay. The other thing that I did, which really helped me, is that I was transparent in my essay, but I did it respectfully. So when I was applying to college, one of the biggest accomplishments for me was that my dad had overcome 4 types of cancer, and he was actually going to see me graduate high school and make it to college. So I put that in my essay about what it meant to be a student in high school who worked, who had to manage a family, who had a father that was ill. I was a first gen college student. I mean, there were just all the things. And I know sometimes we shy away from those experiences. I talked about those experiences and I was like, listen, this is why I deserve to get some scholarship dollars, because I've worked my butt off to be successful and I'm really trying to get to the next stage in life. A lot of the reviewers for scholarship committees, even if I didn't get the scholarship, they would contact me and say, thank you for sharing your story. I even had one scholarship that I didn't meet the qualifications for, but they reached out to me and said, have you heard of this other scholarship? And I was like, no, I haven't. Applied for that and got that scholarship. So I would say, make sure you pay attention to those deadlines. Have a system in place for managing all the scholarships that are available. That scholarship's website with all of those external scholarships that opens you up to about 1.5 million different options. Put that stuff in a spreadsheet to stay organized. Don't always think that you have to go for the big bucks. You don't, because 10 $500 scholarships, that adds up. And then also 5 to 7 per month from August of your senior year until July of the following year. I just had a student that contacted me about 2 weeks ago that took that recommendation. They didn't hit necessarily 5 to 7 every month, but they committed themselves to that and they are fully funded for 4 years at the institution of their choice. So it didn't end up being IU, but it still worked. So that's my tip. It sounds like a lot of work. I know people are like, when am I going to do all of this? Again, build in a reward system, prioritize your time. Instead of jumping on Instagram or Snapchat, go ahead and do a scholarship app. So thank you for having me, Leslie. Any questions that you have for me?
Yeah, I do have. Well, first, thank you so much. That's amazing, and the level of organization and commitment that you obviously put in is incredible. And I hope that some of our students are willing to put in some of that to get in to apply for some of those scholarships. And I appreciate that. I did have one follow-up question before we kind of wrap it up. When you, with IU specifically, how does it work with scholarships in the test optional component? Are you guys, do you still submit tests or can you still apply for scholarships by being test optional?
Yeah, Tracy, you want to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So scholarships absolutely still an option with test optional. The review process will be a little different. Unfortunately, we don't have the specific criteria set yet, but we are determining that as we work through this application timeline. But students will not be negatively impacted should they go test optional. They'll still have the same initial merit scholarship available to them as long as they apply before November 1st or by November 1st, they'll still have that available. And then the departmental scholarships that we have connected to our selective scholarship application, which we have on our website, will still be available to them. A number of the schools are also operating with slightly different criteria for their test optional students as well. So that will still be available to them. That'll still be an option, and we'll have more information as we move through this cycle.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on what Tracy said. That's phenomenal. And really, I hope that families understand that this test optional policy really is designed to create greater access to college and to scholarships. So those who were eligible for merit-based scholarships based off of test scores in the past, you're still eligible. This just now gives an opportunity that those who may not have rigidly fit in a box now have opportunities to gain scholarship access. So that's why we tell students, reach out to the office. Tracy is literally a specialist. He is when it comes to scholarships and helping families understand it. Contact us. Don't let numbers or policies or processes scare you, because we're always actively exploring ways to create greater access for students. So this test optional policy is going to do amazing, not just for admissions, but for scholarships as well.
Perfect. That's awesome. Well, I think our students are hopefully now motivated to do some research and get out there and apply for some of those scholarships. And if they reach that goal that you set, Nichelle, of 5 to 7 per day, that'll be per month rather, that would be great. But even if they get close to it, I think they'll be in a better position. Again, thank you guys so much for taking the time today to sit down and really provide some helpful information for our students and our families. And I'll again reference your website, which is top notch when it comes to financial aid and scholarships and admissions. And I can't promise that every school is going to have that robust resource for you, but you guys are definitely setting a standard for that and giving our students and us as college counselors a fantastic resource. And also I appreciate, again, you guys providing the information and taking time out of your day. And hopefully you guys are staying safe and healthy in this virtual environment. I'm not sure that we would have even thought to do something like this had it not come. So, and I appreciate you, Nichelle, again, for doing the information session for us earlier this summer. So.
No problem. You guys know I love Montgomery Bell students. They were so nice to me when I visited last year, and that was my first time recruiting in Tennessee. And I tell you, Montgomery Bell students made me feel right at home. I thought about relocating to Tennessee after that visit. Yeah. So thank you guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, good. We try to model the gentleman scholar athlete model when we have guests come on campus. So hopefully we'll be able to have guests sometime soon after things come down. Well, thank you guys, and we'll end the call, and I wish you guys the best, and we certainly appreciate your time and being there for our families and our students to help provide guidance with your expertise. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
See you guys later.